Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. So this morning I'm making keto avocado brownies, and I just thought I'd pop on and show you how I do this. So the entire recipe is made in the food processor, which is very convenient. Even the icing. For the avocado, the recipe calls for 2 ripe avocados. Because I don't always have avocados on hand, I find this easier. I buy this bag at Costco and I just eyeball what would be 2 avocados. I put it in a dish and slowly defrost it in the microwave. If I think of it ahead of time, I can just set them out and then defrost on the counter. All right. So the first thing, so that's 2 fresh avocados in the food processor. And I'm going to turn this on, so it's going to be very loud. So before I started with the video, I took all of the ingredients, had everything set out here and ready to go. I found that easier. I have everything except the ingredients for the frosting. I will talk about the frosting at the end and maybe pop on and do a quick video just of the finished product. So all I'm doing now is just showing how I put this together. So I just ran it there for a little bit, and now I'm going to give it a little stir. There we go. It's still a little bit chunky in parts, and you want your brownies to be nice and smooth. Whoopsie. So I'm going to turn it on once again. Alright, that should do it. Yep, much better. Okay, now I like to go down the recipe. If I get a recipe, if I Google a recipe, I then write it out and I put it in order of the ingredients going in, and I always incorporate each ingredient before I add the next ingredient, depending what it is. If it's liquids, you can usually throw them in together. So, avocado. Next thing is 2 large eggs. I don't crack the eggs, put them in here, because 1 out of 10 eggs you're going to crack and have a little bit of shell. So by doing it in a bowl, you're guaranteed that there's no shells in this, because trying to pick shells out of this would not be any fun. Picking a little bit of a shell out of a dish, it is no trouble at all. Okay, so the next thing, 2 eggs. Next, all right, I'm actually going to incorporate these because it's a dry ingredient going in after the eggs. There we go. So we like these brownies. Ronnie absolutely loves them. It's all healthy ingredients. There's no sugar, there is the monk sweetener, which is a sugar substitute. It's one of our choice. Anyway, everything in here you'll see as we go are healthy ingredients. So the next thing is a 1/2 cup monk sweetener. So what I did is I have the monk sweetener. It is a sugar consistency, and I wanted it to be like a baking powder, or not baking powder, sorry, and icing sugar. So what I did is I popped it in here and I just used this and I just made it a little bit fine so that there's no grit in the brownies. We want our brownies nice and smooth. So incorporate that. Okay, so now it is 5 tablespoons melted butter. I am going to put that in now. So I melted that prior to the video. There we go. And let's mix this stuff up. Next, melted butter, almond flour. So it's a 1/2 cup of almond flour. And the almond flour that I use is the Kirkland brand. It's a good price at Costco. Okay, almond flour, a 1/2 cup of cocoa. And because that is a dry ingredient, I'm going to put that right in. Baking powder can go, 1/2 teaspoon. It was a 1/2 cup of almond flour, 1/2 cup of cocoa. Baking powder just went in, a 1/2 teaspoon, and a sprinkle of salt. Salt that I use is Redmond's real salt. Last ingredient is a 1/2 cup of sugar-free chocolate chips, and you melt those in the oven. So what I do is I use a little bit of butter. I melt the butter first. And this is hardened up a little bit, so I'm just gonna pop it in the microwave real quick to heat it up again. While it was sitting on the counter, it just hardened. So anyway, instead of a 1/2 cup of sugar-free chocolate chips, I find it easier to just melt some butter, throw a little bit of monk sweetener in it, and some cocoa. The end product is a 1/2 cup. I find that's much cheaper, and for me personally, there, that did it. For me personally, I always have these ingredients on hand. The sugar-free chocolate chips are hard to find. There we go. And I'm not measuring this. It looks like about a 1/2 cup, and I'm actually going to throw this in. This will be the last ingredient. And what I do, I know the consistency that the brownies are supposed to look like. So when I'm done this, I just have a look at it. If it looks like it is good, I leave it. If it's too dry, I melt a little bit of butter and add a little bit of butter. And I've had to do that in the past, like another tablespoon. I need a new food processor, but this works. So I'm gonna give it another scrape. There we go. Actually, this does look good. So I will not be adding any extra butter to it. That's probably the last time I'll have to give it a scrape. Yeah, it's nice and smooth. So I'm gonna pop it back in, and it's hard to see. We'll give it another round. Use 1 pan or 2 pans to bake these. I like to use my loaf pans, These are 2 large loaf pans. You can see, I line them with parchment paper, nothing fancy. Pop it in there. And these just seem to cut up. I think I get 10 or 12 out of the batch. So now the fun part. Messy. And I'm not going to throw this in the sink because when I end this video, I'm going to put together the icing. And the icing for this is room temp avocados, chopped up. So the same thing, I use my frozen ones and just slowly defrost them in the microwave because I never think to have them out ahead of time. So the icing is your avocados, a half a cup of cocoa, some monk sweetener powder, so the same thing, you want it to be very fine, some melted butter. It does call for a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's not enough that I ever worry about it. That's it. So the frosting is 2 avocados, a half a cup of cocoa, and I have written here 2 or 8 tablespoons of monk sweetener in the powder form. I think I probably use a little bit more than that. You know what? Dip your finger and if it tastes sweet enough, leave it. And if not, just add some more. So as awful as this food processor looks right now, it actually is almost the same ingredients that's going into the frosting. So I will leave it here and start the frosting when I end this video. I just spread this out a little bit. Now you could make these, you know, again, whatever size. We find they're very filling, very satisfying. And I know that you're still eating sweet, whether it's fake or real, but you know what? It is what it is. Sometimes you just want something yummy. So a little bit more in here and a little bit more in this one. And now I am full of chocolate. There we go. So I'm going to show you the finished product going into the oven. I bake them at 325. Okay, so I bake them at 350. It says here 2 loaf pans, 20 minutes, so this is accurate. And you want, when these come out, you want them to be almost look like they're not cooked, they're not finished. And what I do when I take them out is I put them on a cooling rack and cover the entire thing with a clean tea towel and leave them come to room temp, and then they pop right out, so easy. And I cut them up, they freeze beautifully. So here we go. And those are going in now. So 20 minutes. I will put in the description the recipe, and I will pop back on with the frosting and maybe after they're cooled, perhaps, pop back on and then I can show you the actual finished product. Okay guys, bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Okay, bye for now. Hope everyone's having a great day.